Well, good morning, fellas. Not going to do what I had planned for today. It is just before 7 o'clock Saturday morning. I've been pulling out old fence. Let me show you here. I was going to bring the big telehandler from work and pull all this concrete out. You can see there at the corner, I left some for landscaping, kind of define the yard. But what happens is, in the 50s or so, so many Chinese elms were planted, and they are just a terrible tree. They are so weak, you can see how many dead branches, and they fall on the fence and completely destroyed it. And I get tired of weed eating or line trimming or whatever you want to call it. So she's coming out. We don't have cattle running free in the yard anymore anyway, but today's going to be a very automotive themed day. I've got a lot to do before this afternoon, where I'm taking the family to do something fun. I've watched my Dutch sheets, give them 15 for the morning, read my Bible, talked to God. So now we can proceed with the day. Got my Dr. Pepper and my cookie bar. So I need to get to the shop at work where we handle our first project. Man, this truck's getting gross again. Telling you fellas, if you married a woman that likes to bake, just do yourself a favor and keep your big mouth shut. By the way, those of you who watched 2 metal detecting videos ago, I believe it was, where I was in a burn field, well, this is it today. Just a beautiful, lush prairie again. I don't know if you can see that against the sun. Probably not even picking anything up. There we go. I mean, you got wildflowers, sunflowers. I guess sunflowers are wildflowers. Anyway, a lot of you expressed confusion over the fact that they burn the grass off, and this is why. They do that every few years or so, and it just helps create a much healthier grassland, I guess. Whatever. So this is the project for the morning. Doesn't look like much fun, and believe me, it's not. I mean, it's okay, but it's not something I'd rather be doing. I've done this once before. I'm doing timing belt and water pump on my wife's Humanity hauler, our 2010 Grand Caravan. Had a water pump leaking pretty bad, and it was time again to do the timing belt anyway. We put so many miles on this thing. And so I have got the hard part done. The new belt is back in, and the water pump as well. I didn't even take a look at the old belt. I'm sure she had more miles on it, but you don't want to take a chance on these things. It's an interference engine. This is Chrysler's 4.0 overhead cam. Great running engine. Never had a bit of a problem with it for as many miles as we have on this thing. But that is probably the biggest headache of all on this thing, is putting these dang timing belts in it and the water pumps. And the hardest part I find, you know, you've got your timing mark down there for top dead center on the crank sprocket, and we got timing mark here on the cam and the timing mark in the casting, and that one back there, it's so hard to get good line of sight to make sure you're in line when you're putting that thing. So you just start on the bottom with the belt, and you stuff cardboard down there in between the sprocket and the belt to hold the belt up. and then you just start pulling tight and shoving screwdrivers and cardboard in here to get it to slip into the right tooth, and hold that tight, and then you got to struggle to get this whole section tight so that you get that in the whole time, trying to keep your timing marks in line. And then you got to worry about getting the tensioner back in. And then you got the little hand grenade of a tensioner there, and you pull the pin when you think you're all set, and it puts tension on it. And I think I got it. Sometimes it can be very difficult. You're fighting spring tension on the camshaft, on the lobes, to keep your sprockets in line. But enough about that. I'm hoping I've got to get all this back in, all my hardware up there, and the parts and pieces. I'm hoping in an hour, 2 at the most, I will have this back on the ground and running. And then we can scoot back home and start on the next thing. So I just have a quick question for a viewer out there, Ben in Oregon. Ben, he's a good old boy. He's apparently rebuilding a 48 Chevy like he had back in the day, and he needed some parts, so we did some horse trading, which is great. But I have just one question for you, Ben. How did you work on cars without scratching the paint with this thing? I mean, I just, I don't know. Well, it's been about an hour exactly. Let's see, I think I got here at 10 after 7, and it is now 10 after 8. And we are ready to go. I need to finish, I'll start it, finish filling the coolant, attach the battery cable. You may have noticed, if you're very observant, I didn't have all the plastic push pins I needed. Of course, they always break on you, and I have some at home, so I'll get those there. Broke 2 of them. Here's the other one. And then there's another plastic cover down there that kind of goes over the harmonic balancer and the oil filter and everything down there. And I took that off earlier when I was finding the source of the leak. So next oil change, I'll get that back on. Otherwise, barring any coolant leaks or the fact that it doesn't run because I really screwed something up, which I didn't, we will test drive it. Oh, and I've got that plastic cover right here. I'll just snap that on. Actually, I should wash it off. Yikes. It got doity. Everyone's so ashamed of their engines anymore. They got to cover them up, right? I would be too. There we go. So let's get this full of coolant and fire it up. The moment of truth. Oh baby, I like it. Yes ma'am. Okay, I'm gonna let that warm up. Sounds great. I need to go get a jug of water from the other shop and keep filling that, and we'll be right back with you. Alright, got her full, got her rinsed off with water because I always make a mess getting all the air out of those things. This particular engine has a bleeder, just like a brake bleeder, right there on the thermostat housing. You can see that on the top. So that really helps, because these modern engines, they are so hard sometimes to get all the air out when you're trying to fill that. Thermostat's open though, it's nice and hot, nice and full. I'm just cleaning up. Okay, about to pull on the highway. There's a truck down there's coming, so this will be a good test to see if we got that timing belt in the right spot. I know it would be obvious if we didn't, but yeah, running good, running wild. Temperature is just below halfway mark. I mean, that's real precise. I love vagueness. You can really wrap your hands around it. Wrap your head around it? I don't know. Anyway, I'm gonna give this a good test going to town, and then head home, and I'll see you there. Well, I had to stop and look at this thing. Must have been a fleet vehicle. I don't know, she's pretty beat up. Pretty beat up. Boy, I hope it doesn't use that much oil. I wouldn't mind a four-wheel drive 3/4 ton. I wouldn't mind it at all. Got a little rust coming through. I bet that rocker is just about shot. Bed's kind of beat up. Battery's dead. I wanted to see the mileage. Ooh, premium. Nice. I like it. Hood latch. Doesn't even open. I don't know. It would be a project in the end. Moving on. Now, for those of us in farm country, sometimes you can get a free car wash. You have irrigation nearby. Well, now for the next phase of our plan, you'll probably recognize this unit here, the 48 Chevy. It's at a neighbor's house. He was so nice and gracious to allow me to store it here while I'm working on the 38 Buick. But the owner is coming possibly tomorrow to look it over and decide what we're going to do next with it. So I just want to make sure it fires up for him, and if he wants to drive it, he can drive it. So let's get in there, throw the battery in it, and see if she'll fire up. Got plenty of oil, which is a very good thing, obviously. Well, I guess the guy should have brought some fuel with him. The float's full. I've got to get this oil off my hands. Oh, you know what? That ignition switch is so loosey-goosey. I bet I don't have it in the right spot. The key in the right spot. I don't remember what it's supposed to be at. Well, other than flooding it on purpose, starts right up when you got the key in the right spot. So, bumper guard's loose. Now, on the video where I started this for the first time, a lot of guys had concerns because when I started it, they didn't see oil immediately coming out the weep hole on the rocker arms. And the thing you got to remember, that was all oiled, so don't worry about that. It had lubrication. But the thing you got to remember is this is not a full pressure engine. You're not going to have oil just squirting like a modern engine would, or anything even 10 years after this would. In fact, I made pains to show you. I made sure to show you guys that on the oil line that comes up this side of the engine and tees off into that rocker shaft, there's a weep hole on the bottom. So they're actually purposely losing pressure before the oil goes into the rocker shaft. And then it's just the excess that gets in there, and then it spills over out the top and goes down the rocker arm and lubricates the push rods on the lifters. So, don't think of it like the next generation 6-cylinder Chevy or a small block or anything like that. As you can hear, there's just a very light tick because the engine's cold, and that'll go away as soon as it warms up. Everything is A-OK. Alright, tires, that one's a little low. I'm going to air that up. I'm not going to bother getting it out today. That one's a little low. That one's okay, but probably a little low. I just wanted to make sure we could come right out here, connect the battery cable, and it'll fire right up. So we're good to go. Now the third thing I wanted to do is give you updates on the 38 Buick. Yeah, I've got the starter torn all down again. Got my new solenoid, and it's working a whole lot better than the other one. So that's good. And in the first video with this Buick, I tested, well, I don't know if I actually showed it because I've also done it on a 48 Chevy recently that I did make a video on. But I tested the armature, and I did the bar-to-bar test, the 180-degree test on the commutator bars, and that's all still good. But what I am getting is continuity between the armature core and the commutator bars. And it's very inconsistent. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, you should be able to see that screen there. There we're into mega ohms. But, you know, my understanding is I should have absolutely nothing there. So I'm assuming the armature now considers itself shot. So anyway, you guys that really know what's going on with starters, let me know what you think. It's my opinion it's bad, but I don't know everything about that. And the fourth and final thing we're doing today, we're heading to Great Bend, Kansas, to the SRCA Raceway there. Very historic drag strip. They've got racing. It's the start of Rocky Mountain Race Week. They start there and they end there. And so today's the first day of that. We're going to go see some good racing. I won't be shooting live video and talking, but I'll put some video and pictures here coming up, and there's even a chance to meet Derek from Vice Grip Garage there, so we'll see if we can track him down and shake his hand. But anyway, thanks for watching. Enjoy the racing, what I put on, and we will see you next time. Hopefully this thing will be in the car starting the engine.
But this car, I saw it race in Milwaukee last year, long big block with the straight axle onto the front. I'll tell you what, when it's running, it looks like the fender's going to fall off of this car because it's like barely held on with like, I mean, it's just got like rust and stuff going all over the place. But that's that car I keep trying to buy. I ordered like $2,400 this morning and they turned me down. It was weird. I know, right? I mean, you know, maybe you should have moved to 2450. Maybe I'll do that next time. But he got the motor on it. He got 25 out of the left lane over here. You guys are making me poor, man. I'm trying to get this car cheap.
Caught up quick.
Coach is going to be pretty happy to see him. I don't think he's been on the track yet. Super T4, and everybody.
Well, something happened.
He's actually driving that.